Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Paranormal Brew. It is live on YouTube for the moment. I believe after the 16th, I can go live on Facebook again. How's everybody doing? It is the show's also streaming live on Paranormal King Radio Network. If you can listen in on there. Shane, Mr. Pittman, will be joining us. However, it will be via phone. I am sorry. I know you guys don't want to see me. You want to see him. But he is having some issues with his internet. So instead of canceling, he just said that, he would do it on the phone. And if you guys can't, if we're having trouble and this and that, then we can just postpone it and reschedule. So we're going to try it. If you look at the bottom of the screen, that's just some information about Shane and where you can find him and follow him. But you know me, we're just going to ask questions. And if anybody there has any questions, let me know. I am going to really quick because he's calling me at 7:35. So I'm just going to go onto YouTube and share this onto the pages if I can. Oh my goodness. I'm really, really bad with technology. Hi, Paranormal King. Oh, I love you too. I love you too. Thanks for being here. All right, so here's the live. I gotta share it.
I love you too. I love you too. Thanks for being here.
I guess I can't.
All right, so here's the live. I gotta share it.
All right, never mind. I'll do that later. I'm telling you, there's never a dull moment with the brew. So as soon as he calls, we will get. Oh, here he is. I think. Hello. Hi, Shane. Good. All right, I'm gonna put you on speaker, and I'm gonna put you up to my speaker, and then everybody that's listening, hopefully they can hear you. I have done this before, and it did work, so hopefully this will work. So hold on one second. Are you there?
I'm here.
Can you guys hear Shane? Say hello to everybody, and I just want to know if everybody can hear you okay.
Hello, everybody. Thank you guys for joining.
I'm like, nobody wants to see me. They want to see you. But let me see. People are saying, welcome, Shane. Betsy. It's Betsy.
All right.
All right, good. They said they can hear you. So that's perfect.
Sweet.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yay.
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, my gosh. You have no idea. I appreciate you coming on. For sure.
That's no problem.
Yeah, and Greg from Fort Mifflin says he can hear you loud and clear, and he said Vegas,
Good.
and he said Vegas, baby.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. That's next week.
Yes,
that's next week. So I'm excited for that for sure.
So before we get into that, because I do want to get into a little bit of stuff that you do, including, because I was stalking you a little bit, and and I saw you're part of a paranormal, a lead investigator for a paranormal group. You're a techie guy. You have the Holzer files, and then you have that event coming up with Dave Schrader. Is that January or June? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, that's January 7th through the 9th, I believe.
Yeah, so I want to learn. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's in Minnesota, and I'm going to be freezing my ass off.
Okay.
But it'll be all right.
Me and Nicole don't like each other very much. So for anybody that does not, Trina Wagner says hi to you.
Hello, Trina.
So I don't know, Shane can't see anybody's comments. So if anybody has any questions or comments, please write them here, and I will get to them, and I'll relay them to Shane as we go along. So hello, Ajeng. Ajeng, she's from Indonesia. So just so you
Oh,
know,
very cool.
we're being broadcasted in Indonesia right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love getting it out there.
For sure.
So for everyone that doesn't know who you are, Shane, can you just kind of give a little, where you started, how you got into this field, and we'll just go from there.
Sure. So, for those who do not know, my name is Shane Pittman. I've been investigating actively for about 13 years. And how I got into the field was basically the cliche answer that you hear all the time is, I had paranormal experiences when I was young. My first one when I was 6 years old. And then from there, in my teenage years, I was having things that I couldn't explain. And once I found out that there were books on the subject, that's where the, Hans Holzer came in, Ed and Lorraine Warren, all of the ones that, pretty much were popular at the time. I was trying to immerse myself and research as much as I could. Once I found out that there was tech that was being built specifically to pretty much test what I was going through, like, atmospheric changes, things like that, things that I could test with that equipment, I was hooked at that point. So that's where the tech came in. And then, I had some teams, some paranormal teams that I was a part of for a little while, and that's where we are now. And why I'm a part of the Holzer Files. What a lot of people don't know is I knew Alexandra Holzer probably 7 years before the show was even a thing. I heard about the Holzer Method, which her father pretty much created himself. And I was wondering what that was all about. I reached out to Alexandra and built a relationship from there. And yeah, so that's pretty much it.
So what did you call it? The Holzer?
The Holzer Method. So
okay.
basically it's stripping away all of, which is ironic. It's stripping away all of the tech, all of that stuff, and it's basically from a journalistic standpoint, as somebody going in, an investigator that's strictly going in with the case file, with the facts, and going with a trusted trans medium. And that's pretty much it. Bare bones investigating, trusting that trans medium to give them the answers and documenting, the findings from there. And, I was really curious about that because, I'm from the South. So I was always told psychics, mediums, all of that were demonic. You stay away from them, And I was just curious how his method worked, especially in the 60s, the 70s, when a lot of it was still somewhat taboo. And she explained that to me, explained the process of how it worked. And from then I was hooked on the Holzer Method and Hans Holzer in general.
Yeah, I have that big, huge Holzer Ghosts book.
Oh yeah, that's a very good book.
It is a good book, but it's going to take me forever to get through that thing.
Oh yeah, it's a huge book, but at the same time, it's a good comprehensive book with a lot of his cases in it. So I mean, I recommend it to anybody that is just now discovering Hans Holzer. I think it's a good starting point. But a lot of people don't know too is they think that Hans Holzer, he's just the ghost guy, right? But he was into spirit photography, UFOs, a lot of different things, and he did case files and case studies on a wide range of topics in regards to the paranormal. So I would start there with ghosts, but then go down the rabbit trail, and he's written over 140 books on various subjects, and I would just recommend people to start there, but then go down the rabbit trail and discover some of his other books, because they're just as interesting, if not more so.
Yeah. I do think that the paranormal field is one big circle. I think that everything that we do is somehow connected, no matter what your passion is. It could be Bigfoot, it could be aliens, it could be, Men in Black, Mothman, ghosts, whatever it is. I feel like eventually we all end up in the same circle.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, and at the end of the day, it's the strange and unusual. It's not something that we can readily explain completely with science. So, I mean, I think it's a wide scope of topics and subjects, but I think you're right. It brings us all together, and in some way, because we're all, at the end of the day, searching for the truth.
Yeah.
What's out there? What's the meaning of this life? Is there life beyond? It's at the end of the day, we're searching for the truth. And that's what I love about the field, and really happy to be a part of it.
So I did read that you, are you still a part of Fusion Paranormal?
No, that was a really short stint. So we were a team for a little while, and out of that, we tried a small podcast and stuff, and that was pretty much a short time, because life got in the way, and people had lives, they had work, and and it's kind of hard to get together and match schedules. So that was basically how that worked. It was a short stint thing, but it was one of the teams that I was a part of. And then after a while, like I said, with family and how life happens and how it's tough to mesh the schedules together, I just started doing some more solo stuff, and investigating, and
so when you say like the solo stuff, like, does that mean that you're like going? Well, I do know you go to events. I mean, we met in Gettysburg. You were there. We didn't get much time to talk. Yeah. I mean, those events are insane. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's running. Yeah. They're so crazy.
They're so busy, and it's kind of hard to chat with everybody, because it's just it's a fun time, but it's just busy,
Yeah. So is that what you mean by like are you independent wise, or is it that other groups that you're around may ask you to help out, or stuff like that?
Yeah, so independent, it would be groups or even friends, that not necessarily just having that team formed, but just going and doing investigations and things like that. And that's pretty much how Searchers, the project that I'm a part of right now, that's how that came to fruition. A good buddy of mine, Josh Purvis, and it was Ray Causey at the time, and unfortunately he had to step aside due to some contractual things with television and all of that. But we all formed together and came up with this idea of the Searchers, which was basically focusing on specific mysteries more than like locations involving the paranormal, and kind of going towards the mystery aspect, and trying to add pieces to the puzzle, and hopefully sometimes solving those mysteries. So it was based off the friendship, just going doing my solo thing, but met up with some like-minded individuals, and continued on with the work. So that's what I mean by the solo stuff, just going out and whenever I can, trying to find like-minded people and working with them.
Yeah, that's I'm an independent person. I'm not part of a group, but I will, I help out ghostly excursions when they have events, and I'll help out Greg at Fort Mifflin when he has events, when he needs help, and and then I have people that if I have an opportunity to do an investigation, whether it be a private house or a location, I have people that I reach out to, and we'll just all go together. I did the group.
I think that's I think it's different preferences for people, but I think that it works out better for me because, like I said, I have a wife, I have 4 children, so trying to link up with a team to all go together all the time doing different projects and different investigations and stuff is really difficult, so whenever you can, just go in and linking up with people, I think is the best way for me.
Yeah, it works for me too. I mean, I love it. And another thing with that too is, the groups, and I know there's a lot of good groups out there that are strong and, are, this and that, but most of the groups I have found, it's like just drama, and you're just like, all I want to do is investigate.
Yeah. I don't have any time for the drama. Life is too short. Life is too short, and I'm getting older. The older I get, it's like, man, I just, let's go investigate, do our thing, and leave it at that. Go home to our families. The drama is just unnecessary, and it's at the end of the day, you're not accomplishing anything.
No, and it's almost like you're doing the opposite of what you were meant to do.
Right.
It's combating it, and it's just not healthy. And then you're taking that home, whether you leave it at the door or not. You're still kind of that negative energy around. Not meaning negative. Let me disclaimer, everybody. Not negative meaning demonic, anything like that. Just even if you're angry, you know what I mean, or upset, you're still bringing that in the door.
It affects every part of your life. I mean, it goes from whether the negativity is on a social platform or otherwise, it affects and permeates every part of your life, and it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. And and I'm not getting on a soapbox here, but you can't preach the whole para-unity thing and then not at the same, out of the same mouth,
and then do the
create
opposite.
drama or entertain drama. It's that's hypocritical, and it's not something that's good. I don't think it's good for the field at all.
1000%. And Trina Wagner said the searchers have a great dynamic.
Oh, well, thank you so much. That's really important to us, because if we're trying to show what we do, I want everybody to see a team that works well together. And I think Holzer Files did that as well, with our dynamic. And that's really important because it shows that you can work together with people and you can find out the truth, or you can advance the field. But it's all about getting with
the right people
that are going to challenge you, that are going to say, hey, I think you're wrong in this aspect, but this is why. But that the criticism is there, but it's constructive, and you can still move forward, and you can still advance the field. And I think that's really important to show people because, like you said earlier, it's, nowadays it's lacking in a lot of ways. So it's important for me to show that and show that it can be done. And
yeah, and then that's I think that's important when you're investigating. You have to investigate with people that that you trust, and and you're comfortable with, and you learn from each other. I have last week I had Jason Hawes on, and he was saying about how Steve Tango and Sherry, he's known for 20 plus years, and he would not want to investigate with anybody else, and I think that's what makes not shows, but I mean teams, whether I think the smaller the team, the better. But I think that's what makes things so successful, whether it be a show or a group or, your investigations, your evidence you get. I mean, that all goes together, I think.
Right. I agree. And Jason, Steve, Tango, Sherry, they're great people. And if anybody is coming to Vegas next week, they will be there as well. So yeah, they're awesome people, and they trust each other. They're like family because of the bond that they've built with each other. So
Mhm.
I agree wholeheartedly. It's very important to make sure that you're with people that, yeah, they are like-minded in a lot of ways, but even if they challenge you, as long as it's going to, as long as it's going to better you and it's for the better, then it's good to have those people that challenge you at times.
Absolutely. So I want to go back a little bit because you had brought up being from the South and you brought up family a few times.
Right.
Where are you from in the South?
I am from Georgia, and
Oh,
I'm actually living in Georgia. Yeah,
oh, so you're a Georgia peach.
I am. I'm a Georgia peach, and yeah, I was a military brat, so kind of
Oh,
traveled all over Fort
well,
Irwin,
thank you for your
California, Fort
service.
Hood, Texas, and then eventually back to Fort Benning, and I've been here ever since.
Thank you for your service. You have no idea how thankful I am. Um,
Oh well, thank you. Well, I didn't serve, but my
you
my dad did.
what?
Yeah.
But
So, but I
what?
appreciate that nonetheless.
But they say if somebody in your family serves, you're all serving. So
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
yes,
that's true because I mean, my dad sometimes would be gone a year and a half, 2 years at a time,
yeah,
overseas. So yeah, it's rough. It can take a toll on you for sure.
yeah, absolutely. So it's like if somebody serves, you all serve. So
That's true.
um,
I appreciate that.
yeah, absolutely. Um, So you were saying like, obviously you were brought up that this was, taboo and bad juju and this and that. So how does your family now handle, your I don't want to say, I guess your fame. I mean, like how do they handle, all of this, being on TV and all the things you're going to, you have, fans, you have merchandise, all this stuff. I mean, and your family found like your wife and your kids, I'm sure, you know it can be challenging to try to juggle that as well, but um I mean, are they accepting now of what it is that you do?
Yeah. So my mother, she is uh, very supportive of me,
Hmm.
but she's still saying, Shane, you know how you were raised, you know, you need to be praying, because
Yeah,
she's
yeah,
a
yeah.
super religious lady and the sweetest lady. But yeah, she to this day doesn't agree with what I'm doing, but supports me and the fact that she knows that this is something that I love to do. She knows that my intentions are not to conjure up anything evil or anything. It's just to try to find the truth. So I think she understands it from that perspective. But because of how we were raised and how she brought me up, she still struggles with that a little bit.
Hmm.
As far as with my wife and everything, for a long time she was hesitant, and I understand it because we have children, and
Right.
she always in the back of her mind was like, there's a chance that you could possibly bring something into the home,
Hmm.
and I don't want that affecting the kids, and I completely get it. So for a long time she was um, really hardcore about that. But as our kids have gotten older now, I think she's starting to um, be a little bit more not accepting, but more, well, maybe accepting of it. She'll come to me. She'll come with me to certain events and certain investigations that we do.
Oh,
Which
cool.
in the past, yeah, in the past she wouldn't do that as much because of the kids.
Hmm.
So I think that that's getting a little bit better now. She's been a great support for everything that I've been doing on the television side and otherwise. She's always been very supportive, and she's been supporting me ever since. And she's actually going to be with me in Vegas, so I'm really excited
Oh,
for
that's
that as well.
awesome. It's like you guys, get a little getaway.
Yeah, yeah, that is always good too, because anybody that has 3, 4, 5 children, whatever, they know how it is. It can be stressful. That's where all my gray hair comes from.
You don't have any gray hair. I didn't see any on your head.
Hey, that's because I just ferment it. You got to just ferment it for the TV. You know?
That's awesome. Betsy,
I'm telling on myself a little bit, but that's okay.
so Greg said, hopefully bringing hashtag Poor Shane shirts to Vegas.
Yes, I will have some there, and for the sizes that either sell out or whatever, can go online and order it. It's pretty quick, and we get them out pretty quick. So
that's good. Betsy says, much love to Mrs. Pittman and Esther.
Yeah. Betsy's awesome. She actually helps us at a lot of our events. So very thankful for her. She's been a really good supporter of us, and we're thankful to have her friendship.
Mm-hmm. Trina also loves Esther.
Everybody, y'all are awesome.
Yeah, so everybody's given some love to so we do have a question. Darren Bus, he wants to know, is there a haunted location you won't go back because of fear or not worth your time?
So there's no place that is off limits for me. I'll say that. Okay, even if I was terrified or it was a bust the time that I was there, because if anybody's in this field, they know that sometimes you can go to locations and nothing happens. The next time that you go, a lot of activity can happen. But I will say that one place that I'm very hesitant about is the Howard Dickinson house in Henderson, Texas. And you can see that on, I believe it was season 1 of the Holzer Files. Because I was investigating in the basement, of course. I mean, I'm always somewhere like that. And it was one of those things where I was starting to pick up emotions that were not mine. And I knew they were not mine. I was wanting to lash out at Dave, and he's one of my best friends.
Right.
I was wanting to actually, punch him, hurt him.
Oh, wow.
It's just these feelings that I just couldn't explain. And it was overtaking my emotions. I had a splitting headache the entire time I was in there. Come to find out, the reason why I was experiencing all of that stuff is there was a man there that committed suicide, shot himself in the head.
Yeeks.
And I think that's the emotions I was picking up on. So that's one place that, I'd be hesitant about. Not saying I would not go back, but it's one of those things where when you feel like you're not in control, it changes you. It changes you on a level, because that's the worst feeling in the world, is not having control over yourself.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying, I was getting possessed or anything. I'm just saying that I was picking up on the emotions so intensely that it was almost impossible to shake. So that's one spot.
Yeah, like what? Like the emotion, was it anger?
It was anger, but to the point of where I was wanting to lash out physically and hurt somebody.
So crazy.
And Dave specifically. And that's one of those things where it's like, that's not my normal nature, especially in our interactions. We're always joking, really good buddies. So to have that emotion just on a whim, not really, he didn't provoke that at all. It was just something that happened. That's a very scary thing. It's a scary thing to feel like you're losing control.
Yeah.
So that's one spot where I would go back, but I would make sure, triple, quadruple check, make sure I was grounded and make sure that I was well protected before going back.
For sure. Well, have you ever been to Hinsdale?
No, I have not. That is a bucket list. I do want to go, but I have not been to Hinsdale. Yeah,
I'm going next year, and I'm grudgingly going. My girls, part of a all-girl female group, Paranormal Peaches, and we're all going. I have not been there. They've all been there, and I've, up until that point, I refused. I've been like not really wanting to go, because everybody I know that goes really doesn't have that good of a experience there. So
Right.
But
And I get it. I mean, it's one of those things. It's tough, especially if you're hearing all of these stories of, hey, do not go, do not go. One location in particular where a lot of people were saying, Shane, don't go, was Bobby Mackeys. And I went there, and I did not have the negative type experience that a lot of people were having.
mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those things. Maybe if you go, you might have a different experience.
Yeah.
With it, so.
I do think I've heard that a few times, though, that people that have gone there really didn't pick up on anything, or didn't, get anything there. But then you have the people that have, I'm not discrediting anybody that has had.
Right. Well,
yeah.
I think too, I think a lot of it has to do with intent,
Absolutely.
If people are going in there and they're like, you know what, I want to witness this evil, or I want to witness this, and they go there and their intention is set on that, I think that plays a big role in it. And I think that's why a lot of people do experience the negative portion of that. And why some people go in and they're like, look, I'm just going to go see what it's all about. I'm not looking for anything positive or negative. I'm just going for the experience. And sometimes they have a very mild interaction or no interaction at all. I think it all boils down to intent.
Absolutely. All right. So there's a couple questions. All right. So, Paranormal King, who is streaming my show via the radio network, Paranormal King Radio.
Very cool.
They and it's going out to like thousands of, no, I wouldn't say thousands, hundreds of other streaming things. So
that's awesome.
He asked, why do you gravitate towards the more extreme cases?
What do you mean, with Holzer files or just in general?
I don't know. Did you say something about?
No, because maybe they're talking about the Howard Dickinson house and things like that.
Oh.
I think we investigate a wide range of cases. It's not just the extreme cases, but at the same time, especially with the Holzer files, it was all about, reopening Hans's case files, right? So we had to make sure that there was A, still activity going on, and B, if that location still existed, because there were a lot of cases where there would be a house that was there or some other building, and either apartments were built on top of that land, and businesses that were in operation. So I think the reason why some of these more extreme cases, they just happen to be,
right.
It's like one of those things where, things were still going on because paranormal footprint, I guess you could say, was left there, and it never left. So we were just there investigating those. As far as with the Searchers Project and what we're doing there is nothing is off limits. It's one of those things where if there's a good mystery, a good story to tell, then we're fair game for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that can happen with anything. That can happen even with private homes, even if you do, your prelims and your, questionnaires and all that stuff. You can do all that and walk in and not expect, not get what you're expecting, either way.
Right.
And
sometimes, especially like, even if it is, let's say it's an extreme case and it's televised. Well, if we gravitate towards a story that, there's been a lot of people saying, hey, there's a lot of activity here, there's a lot of stuff. The reason why we gravitate to that is because 9 times out of 10, if we go and investigate that, we're going to get some sort of activity. And, especially on the television side of things, you want to be able to tell that story, but at the same time, you want it to be fulfilling for the people watching. So if we're, told that there's a lot of activity going on at a location, we have a good chance that, there's stuff that could be going on that we can show the audience. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those things that on the TV side, you gravitate to that because, there's a good story to tell.
Okay. Good answer. Question. This is Darren again. I love when Darren comes on because this guy Darren, he'll come on and he will boom, 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 question after question, and he gets like the convo going. He asks some really good questions.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with that at all.
No, I love it. So he says, question: is there a piece of gear / equipment that that you don't like and won't use again, or what's your and on the flip side of that, what would be your favorite piece of equipment that you do use that you find very useful?
That's a very good question. So I'll start with what I won't go to an investigation without, and that would be a good digital recorder. And it's preferably like with a live listening feature. So if you want to, you can hook up headphones or something and listen in real time, and it's amplified some. The reason why I say digital recorder is because I've caught so many great EVP, and it's still a phenomenon that is I think we still just scratching the surface on, because it's unreal what you pick up on at times, especially when it's an answer to a relevant question.
Right.
Not just some noise that you're hearing or some voice that you're hearing, but it's a relevant answer to a question. I think ITC is something we're still scratching the surface with. And we've been, a lot of people have been researching it for many, many years, but I still think it's something that is to be explored, and I've never gone wrong having a digital recorder. Now, with the thing that I will absolutely not use, again, I'm kind of iffy on that, because I won't say I will never use something again unless, it's going to have a lot of variables there. I think there's a lot of things that can create false positives, and you got to be very careful on your uses for it. And one of those pieces is the SLS, and it's not knocking the SLS camera. I think it has its uses, and there's some things that you can gain from it. But what people need to realize is with the SLS, sometimes it can create false positives. And, because it's supposed to map out the head, shoulders, knees, and toes of a figure, kind of create a figure of what it's, the IR beams are projecting out, right?
Right.
So sometimes, if you see somebody and then it says, oh, there's somebody behind this person or something, well, if they're standing right next to a wall, it could be picking up their shadow, because the IR does emit light. So it could be picking up a shadow that is trying to map out a figure behind them, but it's only their shadow. It has nothing to do with anything paranormal. Same with if you're walking into a dark room and there's a coat rack there, but you can't see it because you're pitch dark and you're using the SLS, it's going to try to map out that coat rack. And really it's no ghost or anything. It's just trying to map the coat rack. So that's one piece where I'm very careful with, but I'm not saying I would never use it, because I do use it. And there's a lot of inventors that are perfecting some of the cameras in regards to the SLS. Bill Chappell is one of them. Jeff Conkle is another. So, I think that, with pieces of gear that are being created, they're being created for a reason, right? Mm-hmm. They're being created for a reason, and sometimes they could have flaws, but I think people don't need to completely discredit them right away, because somebody can come along and correct that flaw and make it better.
Right.
So,
which is a good thing.
To say you'll never use it again, it's just one of those things.
And
never say never, I guess.
Absolutely. And I think, that's why I think, the skeptics of the field are important to have around, because they can point out, okay, well, this is the reason why this is, could cause an interference or could do this. So then somebody really, 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 really smart can go back and say, okay, let me try to eliminate that, and I'll come up with something new.
Kenny is a good guy with that. You know Kenny, don't you?
Oh, he's one of our peaches. He's a part of our peaches. Yes, he's I'm very close with Kenny. Yes.
Yeah, so I've seen I don't know him personally, but I have seen some of his work and some of the things that he explains. And you know what? As people like him we need those types of people in the field. We
Right.
honestly do, because like you said, it challenges some of the things that maybe is in our belief system, that either further solidifies our belief in, or it says, hey, wait a minute, this guy's right. Maybe there's something that we need to tweak, or maybe we need to look at this a different way. So I feel that people like Kenny, and just skeptical people in general, is something that we desperately need more of in the field. But on the flip side of that, it's one thing to be skeptical and offer that constructive criticism and things like that. But, the people that are just like, oh, you're full of crap, you're this
Right.
and that, that's not furthering anything, and that's not helping us. And Kenny, I've seen him say, oh, you're full of crap with some things. But that, at the same time, I don't feel like he's closed-minded. I feel like he's open to possibilities, but
Yeah. No, he is. He wants.
And we need more of that.
Yeah, he wants to know, and that's the difference. Like, he isn't one of those people that says you're bullshit. Unless it's warranted. There have been times where it's been warranted. And he won't.
Yeah, and we need
Right.
those types of people too. That's not going to pull any punches. That they're gonna speak their mind. Because if we expect people to listen to us when we're speaking our mind, then we can't say, oh, I only am going to listen to somebody that completely agrees with me, because
Right.
that's just that's not beneficial at all.
Not at all. Nope. Betsy wants to know if you consider yourself to be an empath or a sensitive.
I will say yes, but I can't say any more than that, because there's something that happened on another project that I'm a part of that pretty much was life changing. It's something that, yeah, it's life changing, but I can't say any more right now contractually. So I'll just leave it at that. So I'll just say yes.
Okay. Okay, Darren, good question. He wants to know if you had a chance. I think I lost him. Hold on, hold that thought. My phone I don't know if my phone, maybe let me see. Hold on. Let me try calling him back now that I have his number. I'll be nice about it. Maybe his phone died. I was just about to ask your question, Darren. Hold on. I was getting to it. It wouldn't be Paranormal Brew.
This is Shane. I'm sorry.
All right, let me see if he calls me back. It wouldn't be the brew without technical difficulties, for sure. So let's see. I think it's interesting. I also want to ask him about what he meant about they look into the mystery of things. I wanted to ask him that. Hopefully it was just that his phone died. Maybe I don't know. Let's see. Should I try calling him back? I don't want to be like hi Meg. Hi, everybody. I killed his phone. I know. Hi, Megan. Oh, here he is. All right. Hello?
Hey, so sorry about that. Got disconnected.
No, I know. I was like, oh no. I was like, what happened? I was just about to.
Sorry about that.
I was sharing something from Darren again, and
Okay.
and he said that he must have killed my phone or your phone.
No, it's all good. So sorry about that.
No, it's fine. So he wants to know if you had a chance to own a haunted, I guess, a location, a house, or anything like that to use for paranormal research. To use for paranormal as like a center or test equipment or experiments. Where would it be and why?
Very good question again. Let's see. Where would it be?
Gettysburg.
Well, if I would have to
Gettysburg.
say, like, if there's
Gettysburg.
Oh yeah, Gettysburg for sure. For sure. That is such an awesome place. Anyway.
I would run it for you. I would be there and I'd run it for you. So.
Yeah, that's a good answer. And would I own a place? I'll never say never, but it's like one of those things that I would want to make sure that if I did, that I was truly doing the field justice and advancing it as much as possible. And I understand a lot of these places, they definitely need the funding and they need to, keep the lights on, but I wouldn't want it to be like a sideshow attraction.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'd want it to be, if I did have something, maybe it was only, those that were trusted individuals maybe in the field, just to, if we were going to do research to try to see what was going on, maybe go that route, know, because I'm not saying that a lot of these places are not sideshow attractions. I'm just saying that I wouldn't want it to turn into something where just anybody,
right.
Even the thrill seekers out there could go in and maybe cause more harm than good. That is, being in this field, it's very important that we advance it the right way. You know, and sometimes the thrill seekers, which there's nothing wrong with the thrill seekers, but going in and doing things, maybe not knowing the repercussions of what they're dealing with or what they're doing, it could make you take steps back instead of forward, so if I were to own something, it'd have to be for the right reasons and for the right cause,
Absolutely. I agree. And I would that would be the place I would pick anyway, only because it is just, to me, is one of the most active places,
Absolutely. I agree.
So everybody was, I love EVP and Scott 373. Now these are YouTube users, but he said he stopped using quite a bit of equipment, and I did too. I only really bring my recorder and maybe my full spectrum camera,
right?
And maybe something like that, because I spent thousands of dollars on equipment. Half of it's broke, half of it's like, doesn't work right, so I'm like so over. So I just bring my recorders. I have a bunch of recorders I use. And, if I get an EVP on one and not the other, I love that. A lot of times I can hear with my ear, I can hear disembodied voices. So that's also validation for myself when I go back and listen and it's on the recorder and it's what I heard. And
absolutely. And I'm a tech guy.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first to tell you that I think sometimes we can be focused too much on equipment.
Right.
Because I feel at the end of the day, the best conduit or the best tool that you could use, not calling everybody investigators out there tools, but I think the greatest tool that is us.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the equipment. The equipment can further validate things and further explain some things. But I think sometimes whenever we're heavily involved with the equipment, sometimes we lose sight of things that's going on. And sometimes we miss something, that key part of an investigation or the communication that whatever we're communicating with, they're trying to convey to us. And we're too busy looking at a screen, or we're looking at lights blinking, and sometimes it takes away from what we're actually there for. So I think the equipment is needed, and it's valuable to have, but I think we need to not lose sight of our own intuition and our own ability to pick up on things. And I always use this analogy of for those who say, oh, I don't have an intuitive bone in my body. Well, have you ever walked into a room where two people or more than two people have just gotten done arguing and fighting, but they've stopped, but you walk in and you can feel the tension?
Mm-hmm.
That is your intuitive ability. No matter what anybody says, that is you picking up on some sort of energy.
Right.
So if that's ever happened to you, then, no matter how much you don't want to believe that you have some sort of intuition, well, you're wrong. I think everybody does to a degree. And we can't lose sight of that.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I agree. And like I said, I'm so old school. And the thing is I believe already, I've had so many personal experiences and evidences of, like, I'm not really anymore, not trying to prove it anymore, to anybody. I'm just kind of, what I do now is basically this show, which I bring people like you on, and Jason Holzer, other groups, and they share how they investigate the things that they do, and try to get that word out there so that people can hear that it's not what they see on TV, meaning throw something at me, oh my gosh, it's a demon, I got to run, it's demonic, I hate, what I mean? Like, I don't want everybody thinking that that's what it is, and that's what we do.
Right. And shows like yours, I mean, I commend you, and I really appreciate you and what you do in the field as well, because it's just as important, because you are spreading awareness out to people, and offering different viewpoints. Again, like I said, it's so important that we listen to each other, because almost every single thing that I've learned and I've grown with is listening to an opinion that I didn't initially agree with.
Right.
Because sometimes I changed my mind.
Right.
And I think that it is very important sometimes to have your mind change, because that's how you learn, that's how you grow, and that's how you advance. So having shows like yours gives people that opportunity to listen to those viewpoints. So I really appreciate what you do as well.
Oh, thank you. Nobody's ever said that to me. But thank you.
Well, it's appreciated. So thank you.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I had like an array of people. I've had UFO people on, I've had Bigfoot people on, I've had, people on, I do want a flat earther on, just because I'm curious, like, to the whole, the whole, like, mind, like, I want to know why. I need to understand that. But
right. And I've talked to a few of them, and some of the stuff is out there.
Right.
But, it's good that we listen, because, again, like you said, it's getting to the root of it. Like, why do you believe this way? Because they firmly believe in this, and to them, they have great evidence for it. So why not at least entertain that, listen to it? If we expect other people to say, or to listen to us when we say, look, ghosts and spirits are real.
Right.
If they treated us the same way that we treat other people that have different viewpoints, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
We can't expect them to listen to us if we don't listen to other people.
I know we only have a couple more minutes, but Gettysburg's on my bucket list. Yes, Megan, he did. He said there was no location that you would. You said that, right? There was no location that you refused to go back to, right? You
Right. None that is like a paranormal reason. Now,
right.
there are some where, and it will never come out of my mouth that way, but there are some locations that I will not go back to, but it's not because of
The paranormal stuff.
Right. It
Yeah.
has to do with how things were conducted and stuff, and I'll just leave it at that. But
Are you a fan of the spirit box?
It has its place. Now, a lot of people say, well, oh, it's just a broken radio, it's this or that. But like I said, we cannot completely close our mind on it, because if we believe that what we're communicating with is energy, then they could have the potential to use anything, electronic or otherwise, to communicate. So I don't think that we need to completely shrug it off and say, okay, this is bogus or whatever. Now, what I do like to use with the spirit box, I like to do the Estes method a lot, because I feel like that kind of narrows down the communication and the false positives. Because if you're getting responses to questions in detail using that method, it has produced mind-blowing results for me personally in investigations. So I like the spirit box, but I think it needs to be used carefully, because there's a lot of words that are just spit out, and unless there's a lot of compounding evidence to back up what's going on at the time when the spirit box is rolling, a lot of times it's just stuff that's words spitting out.
Right.
I think there needs to be compounding evidence. That way we can take a look at it and say, okay, this could possibly be a paranormal occurrence.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan of the spirit boxes, but I had I don't know if you know Lourdes Gonzalez and Ron Yacovetti. I had them on.
Yeah.
And they use something called a DRV, which it's the same idea as a spirit box, but it doesn't do radio. It doesn't use radio frequency to sweep. He explained it. I am not a techie person.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah, and that's awesome. I know. Let's see, Nick Groff, he uses something called the Geoport, and it cuts out a lot of the noise and a lot of the stuff, and I've seen a lot of interesting results with that. So there's things out there. And the spirit box I don't like sometimes because of how noisy it is, and it takes away from things sometimes. But that goes back to what I was saying before. There's people out there that can take those ideas, tweak them, and make them better. So we can't completely discount them, because in the future they could be used and bettered in a lot of ways.
All right. Megan already asked him if he's been to Hinsdale, and he said he has not. And he said, if not, I know an awesome group of ladies that are going in 2022.
Oh, very cool.
So she's inviting you with us.
Awesome.
So there's two questions here. I do you like have to like run?
I've got another call at 9.
Okay, so
yeah, I'm good. I'm good for a couple more for sure.
Okay, good, because these are some good questions. So somebody had asked, where was it? And this is like hypothetical. So if you were, I can't find it, and I believe it might have been Darren. I'm not sure, but if you were to bump into an apparition, who would you want it to be?
Oh, very good question. Probably, and this is not going to be the answer that a lot of people want, but probably my dad.
No, I feel
He passed in January, and I felt like it was like a visitation from him not long after he passed. just saying, hey, it's not so bad here, you know, and he had a smile on his face and stuff. But I think it would be my dad, because there was a lot of like internal stuff throughout the years with me and him. Our relationship wasn't the best at times. So I think bumping into him out would be cool, just so, you know, I could see how he's doing, and, you know.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Yeah. I mean, my dad passed as well, so I totally.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, no.
It's rough, especially when you're there and you witness the last breath and stuff. And
Absolutely.
That's one of those things that's very hard. And I know a lot of people have been through similar circumstances, but it's really hard to see that, especially when they're suffering with some sort of ailment.
Correct.
My dad had cancer, and it pretty much turned him into a different person at the end of it. So, yeah, I would really, I'd like to bump into him, and just to see that, you know, he's at peace and he's okay, you know.
Absolutely. And I agree with you 100%. Erin has a very good question. I like this. Would you agree that there is a shift towards helping the spirits more, not to cross them over, but to identify them, relay messages, etc., and less about proof?
I absolutely agree with that. I think we're at a point now, and you touched on this earlier in our talk, but I think we're at a point now, and this is kind of a big foundation of how Searchers came into being and how I'm a part of that project. I think we're at a point where we're not trying to prove that the strange and unusual exists. We know it does, you know.
Right.
We know that there's a lot of things that we just can't explain away readily.
Right.
And I think now that we're trying to figure out, who are we communicating with? Why is it happening? How is it happening? And yeah, I absolutely agree. I agree that we're focusing more on that aspect now. And I think that's a good thing. Because, you know, I think people now they're tired of just people watching people, you know, in a room, you know, in IR, just talking, saying, hey, who's here? What's here? You know.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're wanting to see more. They're wanting to see, well, is there any sort of resolution with that? Is there anything that we can do to help? We can't see you. What do you see? Do you see us? Can you see us clearly? You know, asking questions like that. I mean, and I've heard a lot of people really getting very creative with their questions now, and it just shows that there is a desire to connect on a deeper level and to try to help if we can, you know? So, yeah, I absolutely agree.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there was one more that I saw. Oh, well, I have a question. Have you ever been to Rolling Hills Asylum in New York?
No. Now, that's an interesting story too, because I was going to go there, but I had a buddy, which was a skeptic. He was a skeptic, came along with us to Bobby Mackeys. And we were going to make the drive and actually go with some other buddies that I had there. And he was like, oh, no, I don't want to make the drive. So my skeptic friend was basically halted that whole thing, and I wasn't able to go.
Oh,
I had to drive him back.
You got to go.
Yeah.
That's got to be a place that has to be you got to go and check that place out. That place is amazing.
I definitely want to. That's another bucket list place.
Yeah, I have an EVP somewhere that there were little children creepily, like, you know, that creepy little kid in the background singing London Bridge is Falling Down.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
wow.
And literally anything that you could experience, because I don't see things very often, you know, or nothing like that. Like I said, I hear things a lot, but I was seeing stuff. I felt things. I heard things. We've captured. I mean, like anything you could think of was I mean, it's very active. And it's really a fun place to go to.
I definitely want to get there. Hopefully I can get there next year.
I always talk about that place because it definitely I've only been there once, and it definitely left a mark. And then
That's awesome.
So really quick, I just want you to just kind of just let everybody know where they can look you up, find you. I mean, I have it going across the screen here, but and then what you have coming up. I know we briefly. Oh, what's the thing in January? That's what I wanted you to talk about.
Yeah, so we're going to the Palmer House in Minnesota in January. It's me and Dave, and he calls it Holzer Files Hell Frozen Over event. And the reason why he calls it that is because I told him it would be a cold day in hell for me to ever do an investigation up north in the winter time. So he Dave Schrader just called the event that because this old Southern boy is going to be investigating in the frigid cold. I don't know how I'm going to handle that, but I'm going to try my best. But yeah, we're investigating the Palmer House January 7th to the 9th. You can go to darknessradio.com, hit the events tab, and you'll see all the information there. I think we're sold out of the VIP, the full access tickets, but we still have some general admission tickets left, which includes all of the talks and everything, meet and greets and stuff, just not the ghost hunt. But if you want to come and listen to the talks, we'll have Jamie Hoke there, the psychic medium Jamie Hoke, and Bill Chappell is going to be there as well.
Yeah, I saw something you shared on your page, and I was like, "Whoa, that looks scary, creepy, cool."
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. And to answer your question, you can find me at officialshanepittman.com. I try to update that as much as possible. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Just type in Shane Pittman. I know on Twitter and Instagram, I'm at Starring Shane. So you can find me there. Things that are coming up, I have a project that I got done with earlier this year that should be out next year. It's on a major streaming platform. I just cannot tell you what that is. I can say it's not Discovery Plus, but it's a major streaming platform. So that should be coming out next year. And me and my good buddy Josh Purvis we're working on something else, a project that hopefully we can get out next year as well.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm happy to hear about everything, and very blessed to have you.
Thank you so much. I'm blessed to be here. I really appreciate it again. Like I said, your work doesn't go unnoticed. I appreciate you, giving a voice to us out there to actually talk to people, and for the audience to actually ask questions back. I mean, it's good to have that back and forth, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's really good because I mean, like after the shows and stuff like that, I'll get private messages from people who are first time listeners, or they are this and that, and say, I really learned a lot. I didn't know this, or I didn't know that, and I said, this is why I do this. This is why.
And it's important. It's very important.
Yes, absolutely. Are you going to be going to the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash again?
Oh, so I've been invited. I want to. So
you should go. It was fun.
Oh yeah. So hopefully I can get that way. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. Oh crap! There was one other thing I was going to ask you, and I forget. I have ADD really bad. All right, I'm gonna I'm gonna let you go, so you can kind of like take a break before you have your next show. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much, and sorry about your dad. And I had a visit dream once with my dad, and it's I only had one, but hopefully maybe dad will they know when to come in. They know when to
I only had one too, so
oh good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are awesome.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I appreciate your time, and I did look into the Vegas thing. If I can't make it out there, I hope you guys have a blast. And
thank you so much. If you can make it out, it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of great guests are going to be there. we're gonna have a lot of fun.
Yeah,
sure.
that's a loaded venue. I saw that. I was like, wow, there's a lot of people there.
Yeah, there's everybody in the paranormal is there.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But you enjoy your nights, and I hope maybe next year sometime I can have you back on again, and we can see your beautiful face, not just your picture.
Well, that's debatable. I might break some cameras, but yeah, I'd love to come back on. That'd be awesome. I really appreciate you having me again.
Absolutely, anytime. You have a good night, Shane. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You too.
Good night.
All right. Good night.
Like and subscribe. Yeah, please. Yes, so next week I have my book. So I'm booked through January, I think January 5th at the moment. Oh, that's what I was going to tell him when he talked about, learning stuff and having, change, when things change your mind. Bob Murch, who I've been trying to get on my show, he changed my mind about the Ouija board. I was always afraid of the Ouija board. Ajing, thank you so much for joining us from Indonesia. I'm sure it's like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning there. But he changed my mind about the Ouija board, and literally just watching his lecture for 1 hour. And I want him to come on because I want him to come on and tell people, that the Ouija board isn't that bad thing, So I have Robert Rigi on next week. Then I have Ron Murphy. Then I have Duo Demonology. And then Mike Laciana. He has a series that's very, very huge in the UK. And then I say bling in the new year with April Busette, the psychic housewife of New Jersey. She'll be on my show January 5th. So hopefully you guys can catch us at that point. But every Wednesday, 7:30, like I said, Facebook has banned me from going live until probably the 16th or the 17th, but I will continue to be streaming onto YouTube. But I thank everybody for joining me and coming on. And Darren, as always, the questions were awesome. I wish you came on every week. You really help a sister out. And everybody's questions were great. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry if I didn't get to everybody's question. Kind of hard, to pay attention and read. And so I hope I did get to most of their questions. I love y'all. And I hope to see you guys next week. Thank you.